Dressing like Ralph Lauren this fall is about understanding more than clothes. It's about understanding a lifestyle. Ralph Lauren has never just been about fashion. It's about creating an image of wealth, leisure, and refinement that feels timeless. His aesthetic has always celebrated the idea of an American aristocracy, and wearing it properly means stepping into that world, not just throwing on a look. The truth is, most people who try to copy Ralph Lauren get it wrong because they treat it as costume. They overdo it, they make it too literal, and they miss the point. Ralph Lauren's vision has never been about excess. It's about balance. It's tailoring and elegance mixed with ease, country mixed with city, heritage mixed with aspiration. It's polished, but it never feels try-hard. That subtlety is what makes it powerful. This fall, to dress like Ralph Lauren is to lean into that richness of storytelling. He builds wardrobes around characters. The equestrian, the Wall Street power player, the world traveler, the Ivy League graduate. And yet every character has the same through line. Clothes that look expensive without needing to scream. Clothes that suggest you belong in elite spaces. Clothes that make you look like you have history behind you, even if you don't. Another thing people forget. Ralph Lauren is not about chasing the shock value of trends. It's about creating a sense of permanence, of tradition. When you wear in his style, you're signaling stability in a world obsessed with change. That's why it feels so rich. It tells people you don't need to keep up because you already own the standard. This fall in particular, the Ralph Lauren look feels even more relevant because the cultural shift is already happening. Over-sexualized fashion is fading, and what's replacing it is refinement. People are craving clothes that look composed, elegant, and intentional. That's exactly where Ralph Lauren has always lived. Dressing his way means showing the world you value presentation, structure, and taste. And here's the reality, Ralph Lauren is aspirational because it's not just about what you wear, but how you wear it. The posture, the confidence, the polish, all of it adds up to a message that you're living a life of elegance, not chasing trends for attention. His fall aesthetic has always been about embodying class through restraint and detail, never chaos. So dressing like Ralph Lauren this fall isn't about copying runway looks or overdoing preppy cliches. It's about adopting that old money, polished ease that signals authority without needing validation. Clothes that carry history, sophistication, and presence. When you get it right, you don't just look dressed, you look established. And that is the essence of Ralph Lauren's style. Ralph Lauren's genius has always been that he sells more than clothing. He sells aspiration wrapped in fabric. When you step into his aesthetic, you're stepping into a world that feels like it's already been lived in, perfected, and handed down. That's why his style has endured for decades while so many others fade. He doesn't dress you to look trendy, he dresses you to look timeless. This fall, embodying that look means leaning into the psychology of restraint. Ralph Lauren never needs to shock you. He doesn't rely on vulgarity, he doesn't push hypersexualization, and he doesn't try to sell rebellion. His power comes from authority. When you see someone dressed in his world, you don't think of provocation. You think of respect, composure, and tradition. That's why it feels so expensive. And this is exactly where fashion is heading. The overexposed influencer aesthetic is collapsing under its own weight. People don't want to look like they're trying to shock anymore. They want to look like they belong. Belong in elite spaces, belong in conversations that matter, belong in a lifestyle of discipline and elegance. Ralph Lauren's style has always been the blueprint for that. What sets him apart is how versatile his vision is. He blends the American dream with European refinement, and he makes it look seamless. His full wardrobe can take you from the countryside to the city without ever feeling out of place. That adaptability is what makes it powerful. You're not stuck in one box, because true luxury means moving through different worlds with ease. There's also an emotional layer to it. Ralph Lauren's fall looks always tell a story of nostalgia. Ivy League traditions, grand estates, equestrian culture, old libraries, weekend escapes. When you dress like Ralph Lauren, you're dressing in stories, and people can feel that. It's not just an outfit, it's an atmosphere. And here's the truth, dressing in his style isn't about being flashy, it's about being memorable. The details matter, the fabrics, the cuts, the way everything feels like it has weight and purpose. That's what creates presence, and presence is what everyone in 2025 is chasing. Not validation online, but the ability to walk into a room and immediately look like you don't need to prove anything. Ralph Lauren has built an empire on that feeling. And this fall, more than ever, his style reads as the antidote to fashion chaos. It's stable, it's composed, and it's effortlessly aspirational. Dressing his way is about creating an aura of richness that doesn't fade with trends. It only grows stronger with time. The reason Ralph Lauren's style holds so much weight is because it isn't just clothing, it's cultural positioning. When you dress in his world, you're aligning yourself with tradition, discipline, and an image of wealth that doesn't need to announce itself. That's why it has become the language of authority in fashion. It doesn't beg for attention, yet it commands it instantly. For fall-winter 2025, this becomes even more powerful because of the cultural fatigue with overexposure. People are realizing that dressing half-naked isn't liberation, it's predictable. Ralph Lauren's vision is the opposite of that. It's rooted in modesty, composure, and polish, but never boring. It's the difference between looking trendy for a photo and looking like you belong in every room you walk into. And this is where the Ralph Lauren capsule comes alive. It's a wardrobe that looks expensive without relying on logos. It's about presence, not proof. Every piece looks like it could have been inherited, yet still feels relevant now. It suggests history and continuity, and that psychological signal is what makes it look rich. It's not about proving wealth through excess, it's about showing wealth through stability. Another truth most people miss: Ralph Lauren's style is aspirational because it makes the everyday feel elevated. It's not just about rare events or glamorous nights out. It's about making even the simplest daily moments look cinematic. That's why it feels luxurious, because it transforms ordinary life into a narrative of elegance. This fall, fashion is shifting back to seriousness, and Ralph Lauren's aesthetic is perfectly aligned with that. It's not playful in a careless way, it's not vulgar, it's not about trends that disappear by next month. It's about a long game. That's why people who dress in his style never look desperate, they look like they've already arrived. When you wear Ralph Lauren the right way, you're not chasing fashion, you are fashion. You're stepping into a world where elegance is the default, not the goal. And that is why his style endures season after season, trend after trend. It's not just clothing, it's identity. This fall, dressing like Ralph Lauren means understanding that elegance is the real luxury, and composure is the new power. It's about looking rich without saying a word. It's about looking timeless in a season obsessed with change. And most importantly, it's about reminding people that fashion at its highest level isn't about spectacle, it's about presence. Ralph Lauren has always known something most influencers never will. Real wealth doesn't need to prove itself. That's why his style feels so commanding in fall-winter 2025, a season where fashion is moving away from spectacle and towards presence. His clothes don't exist for the algorithm, they exist for real life. For boardrooms, private clubs, dinners in historic townhouses, weekends in the countryside, they carry a gravity that can't be manufactured overnight. This is why his aesthetic fits the cultural mood perfectly right now. People are burned out by clothing that's loud, flashy, and overexposed. The narrative of empowerment through revealing has been stretched so thin that it has no weight left. Ralph Lauren represents the opposite. His fall style is composed, layered, grounded. It suggests that you don't need validation because you already are the standard. That quiet authority is what makes it so aspirational. Another part of what makes Ralph Lauren timeless is that he built an entire universe around his clothing. You're not just buying pieces, you're buying into a lifestyle, a vision of heritage, of elegance, of stories passed down. And that's exactly what dressing like Ralph Lauren this fall communicates. That your life has structure, that you value tradition, and that you can move between worlds with ease. From city sophistication to rustic retreat, his style adapts but never bends. And that's the brilliance of it. Ralph Lauren clothing never feels like costume, it feels like identity. When you're dressed his way, you don't look like you're performing for attention. You look like you've always belonged. That's the psychology of true luxury. It doesn't chase trends. It defines them by refusing to play the game. So when you think about how to dress like Ralph Lauren this fall, strip away the noise. Forget about dressing to provoke. Forget about proving you're fashionable through excess. The Ralph Lauren approach is about elegance, permanence, and refinement. Clothes that outlast the moment, that speak in whispers, but carry authority louder than anything else. This is what makes his style so relevant in 2025. In a season where fashion is turning back to seriousness, Ralph Lauren reminds us that the ultimate luxury isn't exposure, it's composure. The richest look you can wear this fall is presence. And nobody captures that better than Ralph Lauren.